CBS News coordinating producer James LaPorta joins us now. He covers national security. I know Friday evening, James, you had new reporting that the Trump administration was preparing for new military strikes on Iran from Friday to now. Where do things stand?
Yeah, so members of the military, members of the U.S. intelligence community, just like all Americans, they make plans for the Memorial Day weekend. It was right around Friday when we started to hear that several of them that we spoke to had started to cancel those plans. One individual I spoke to, said that they were going to go fill up their gas in their car because gas prices might be going up over the weekend. And what this was is they were preparing for strikes. If some sort of deal did not come to fruition, the U.S. military was ready to resume strikes against Iran. So the reporting on Friday, it actually still stands. There are still assets in the region. There are many destroyers in the region. Destroyers each one of them carries 32 Tomahawks apiece. And those assets are still in place, ready to fire if the president orders to do so. So that's where things stand as of the moment. The military is still ready to go, ready to strike Iran if called upon. But separately, we have this deal, and I think what you and Aaron were talking about is really the key point, which is if a deal does come together, how is this any different than the JCPOA, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action that was negotiated under President Obama and other world leaders, by the way. It wasn't just the United States that President Trump pulled us out of during his first administration. And I think that's really a key political issue for the president, because I don't think in any way, shape, or form he wants a comparison from this deal to what was agreed upon in the JCPOA from 2015.
But it's got to be really difficult, James, when you think about that, because there were concessions being made, but there was a trust factor that there wasn't certain amount of uranium being made or enriched. There was a trust factor that our inspectors could come in and take a look to make sure everything was everything. And I think
that's right.
I wonder what changes, over 10 years later with a different leader,
That's right. Well, that's why President Biden, after President Trump pulled us out of the JCPOA, that's one of the reasons President Biden didn't re-enter into the JCPOA, because the Iranians were not in compliance. And if I remember, if my timeline, if I remember correctly, it was around 2023, where our inspectors, were underscoring how they were not in compliance.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why President Biden didn't re-enter us into the JCPOA. So I think you hit the nail on the head, which is, well, what is our enforcement mechanisms? How do we ensure that a new deal is within compliance? And that's really that's really difficult, what I worry about is, I remember going back to, say, Afghanistan, to use Afghanistan as an analogy, right? The United States entered into an agreement with the Taliban under the Doha agreements. Within the first week or so, the Taliban was in non-compliance of it. And so, we go into the Biden administration and we withdraw from Afghanistan, but they were not in compliance with it.
Yeah. A lot of questions. We're all kind of watching history unfold right before our eyes. James, thank you so much for helping us work through that and give us, information about what we do know at this point. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.